are both better. So yeah, this was a game that was played Team 8 on the left here versus Naventic on the right in HGC. And I wanted to talk about, specifically, in the context of this game, identifying your win conditions. This is something that's a little unusual. That doesn't get talked about enough. On Infernal Shrines, there's always a possibility of ignoring the objective and doing different things for your win condition. Right? You've seen comps where people just push a lane all the way to core. You've seen I hate the default Blizzard Observer UI for the record because it constantly does this. There's all sorts of things you could do that don't involve getting the objective. We've seen teams like trade Immortals but then have a Ragnaros on Battlefield of Eternity, so that they get ahead and soak, lose every Immortal, but they end up ahead and they hit some sort of power spike and then they're like, yeah, now's our time to fight, and then they fight. This is so annoying. Only happens with the default Blizzard UI. You'll click on someone, you'll get camera locked, and you can't ignore it. And it'll just keep sliding back. So the win condition of Naventic here is team fighting. The way they drafted their comp, they essentially don't have a tank until 10. This is going to be taunt varying. Medivh spikes at 16. Click backspace. Oh, look at that. Thank you, Chrissy Flower. Appreciate that. They won't have cleanse against the slide route in fights until 16. They drafted a relatively late game comp, and their objective here is to have Ragnaros carry the entire game. Carry the entire early game. But also, you can see they're kind of whack wave clear. Varian's Q, Greymane, kind of, and then Rag's going to be their solo laner, so Rag's wave clear is not really relevant. Wave clear is about enabling rotations. So if you put your wave clear as your solo laner, which is what we're going to see here, you're going to be in a situation where you can't rotate consistently. Whereas Team 8 has reasonable wave clear on pretty much everyone. You can see Wingman was the pickup here. That's going to give them a lot of mercenary pressure because Falstad is going to be able to easily go grab camps consistently. You can just be like, especially Bruiser camps, the Bruiser does the Shaman does the most damage. If you just bribe the Shaman, you can easily kill the other two dudes with like no effort whatsoever. They're going to have a Stealth. Stealth can act as a pseudo-global. It can put you in a situation where you can be soaking and just be mounted in stealth, and they don't necessarily know you're there or not there. So it's very difficult to deal with. So we're going to see a really interesting game here. Just to sort of talk about the win conditions, talk about the way the teams, the way the fights play out, and the way the fights don't play out because they don't happen. Because Naventic very much drafted a comp that wants to team fight, and Team 8 drafted a comp that can team fight but doesn't have to. Interesting. Yeah, I'm not as familiar with the commands for the default Observer UI because I never use it. I always use all these, except when I have to go back and do a replay that's from a different version of the game. So we're gonna see some really basic things here. I want to talk about some basic concepts. The basic concept on Infernal Shrines is one solo laner top in a 1v1 matchup, and then the other 4 heroes try and rotate mid bottom because rotating together is safer. Naventic knows they can't do this. Naventic knows they don't have enough wave clear to do this safely against EDC Malfurion, so they're not. They're sending 2 people bottom, they have 1 person mid, and they have Zuna on Medivh managing the rotation to make sure that the gank's not happening here, right? Team 8's responding by having Tychus bottom, Malfurion mid, and they're hiding the ETC. ETC is the biggest threat because he has the best initiation in terms of getting picks, and Glaurung's just hiding. Why is top of solo lane? Actually, a really good question. The top is solo lane on Infernal Shrines because it's the farthest away. The increase distance from having the shrine here makes us a little bit farther, but also look at how dangerous this jungle is. There's a bush here, 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 here. There's approaches from this direction and this direction which start in the enemy team's base. So you get the situation where if you were trying to rotate through here, there's lots of situations where you can set up ganks. If you rotate through here, look at there's a bush here, here, and here. That's it. That's all of it. Those are all the bushes. If your tank rotates through this section and has an escape, he can like jump over this wall. The rest of your team rotates down this way. You're 100% safe. Whereas if the tank rotates through here and your team rotates through here, they could be hiding over here. They could be. Like, they could just walk all the way over, and you would never know. So, in general, the soul lane is the lane that is the most difficult to rotate to, or it's the furthest away. In this case, it's farther away, and it's the most dangerous one to rotate to. Because it has the most jungle. So this is one of the interesting things that it's important to really look at the map. We haven't seen anyone. If you look at this from Naventic's perspective, Zuna has seen Malfurion, they've seen Tychus, they have not seen ETC or Zeratul. If ETC is missing on the map, you have to assume that he's in a bush. You have to assume that. So Tomster's playing correctly here. He's just poking with his W, staying way back. And as they're aware of that, as they're aware, oh, Tomster's not going to overextend. Can I turn on the game volume slightly? Yeah. For the record, when you go into a replay like this, like half the time, it sets it to 100% volume, so I just have to change it a little bit every single time. As soon as they realize that this is not going to happen and Tomster's not playing safely, by playing safely, Tomster hasn't missed any soak, but he also hasn't cleared the wave. One of the benefits of Ragnaros generally is that as a soul laner is that his wave clear is so good that it's hard to push in onto him for one person. But because he had to play safe from the threat, we're going to start to see the pressure come in, and we're going to see a little bit of damage go on to this tower. It's not a lot. They didn't stick around and get the entire tower. They stuck around literally as long as the wave was there. They knew Greymane and Varian weren't rotating, because Buds at least saw the Varian, and Greymane was down here, so he started his rotation. Is XP soak range the same as your Fog of War vision range? It's actually slightly less. I believe your Fog of War vision range is 12.5. XP soak range is 11.5. So it's basically the same. It's nigh identical. I think I can actually check that. 1 second. There is a document called The Experience of the Storm, written by Ali. And he went in and actually data mined all the information about it. Let me see if I can. He linked it to me on Dropbox. Let me see if I can find the link he gave me, and then you can have it available. I'm pretty sure it's like just slightly different, like just very, very, very slightly different. Got it. That is the Experience of the Storm. So if you ever wanted to know everything about everything that gives experience in Heroes of the Storm, that's your go-to document. Because he literally goes over everything. And it's all data mined directly from the game files. So... So we're going to see this. We're going to see this rotation start to happen. We're going to see Justing and Glaurung come down to help out mid. Now that the Justing and Buds are together, they're probably going to want to stay together for the majority of the game. They were just hoping for one overextension. Glaurung's never going to be in a lane. Glaurung is always going to be rotating and looking for opportunities to either soak safely or deny rotations or get picks. He's almost acting as half a tank here because he is abusing the fact that he has an escape and he has a global. One of the things that tanks normally do is manage rotations like this, but stealth heroes, or not stealth heroes, but particularly Zeratul, can actually do it as well. So one of the reasons that Zeratul can be played as a bruiser, quote-unquote, because the standard draft is always healer, tank, range damage, bruiser, and then a flex pick. But obviously there's two ranged here, so Zeratul kind of falls in the bruiser role. The reason that works that way is because bruisers are kind of flankers or anti-flankers. This was played before the Tychus nerf. This was like the second or third week of HGC. Bruisers are kind of flankers or anti-flankers. A tank can't be in three places at once, and if you look at it, like, imagine this is your engage area. You're just fighting, like, right... Let's say you're fighting on the shrine right here. You have your enemy team can come from here, here, or here. Maybe they can come all the way from behind. But there's usually three areas that you can fight into, and a tank can only really zone 2 at most of them. So there's always that danger of flanking, right? What bruisers do is they are the flankers. They force the tank to be in that 3rd spot. Or they're anti-flankers. They keep an eye on the back line and sort of counter-initiate into the flanker. So because of VP and because there's a really good escape, Zeratul automatically is an anti-flanker because you can't know that Zeratul's there or not for the most part, right? You don't exactly know where he is because of the stealth, so you can't be as aggressive with your flanks because it'll put you out of position from your team. And VP is such a good setup that you always want to make sure you have the peel necessary to deny the follow-up to the VP, which means you have to sort of position differently depending on what hero you're playing. Like Falstad always has to position slightly further back when there's a Zeratul, even in team fights, because he can be erased and because he needs to have Gust available to blow people away so there's no follow-up to VP. Right? The way you beat VP isn't dodging the VP, it's denying the follow-up. For a very similar reason, tanks will try not to be in the VP so they can slide like the Jaina or the Diablo and deny the timing. It's really difficult to do. Really difficult to do. You can also, stun the Zeratul so he can't cancel. It's one of the things we see a lot in professional play. But it's difficult to do consistently. So we see Zeratul doing sort of a tanking thing here, right? He's disrupting the enemy team's rotation, he's scouting for his team, and he can do that because of the stealth and because he has a really, really, really strong escape. But you can also see they're playing really, really aggressively onto the enemy team side of the map. Part of that's the stealth, but part of it's also the fact that they have a better early game, except for Ragnaros. All the heroes on Naventic are fairly late game heroes, and the early game advantages are all about wave clear, and they don't have it. They just don't have the wave clear, except for Greymane. Their wave clear is awful, and Greymane's wave clear is only okay. So Team 8's like, well, we don't have the best early game heroes. But yep. There we go. I knew I was getting that wrong. It's slightly different. I thought it was shorter, but apparently it's actually longer. And it matters. It's from the collision radius of the hero. So it's from the edge of their hitbox as opposed to the center of their hitbox. So the way experience works is it's the center of your hitbox determines your vision radius, but the edge of your hitbox determines soak radius. I don't know why. Ricky Apples, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it a lot. And here again, we see an example of better wave clear. Because the wave is handled, and because Falstad has a global and can come in at the last second, we're seeing Team 8 able to do camps. They can just do camps right before. Whereas Naventic does not have the wave clear necessary to do this. They could be brawling, they could be fighting, they could be doing whatever, and they're not. They're just hanging out, passively trying to get a macro advantage on the map. And you can see it's already starting to pay off. Look at this experience differential. Like, that is half a level already in the first 2 minutes of the game. Just from this dynamic of prioritizing pressuring on the map. If they can't get the pick, they can at least get some damage on the tower. They're always, getting their waves. They're not missing it because their wave clear's better. This is the advantage of wave clear. And we can see this continuing to happen. They're pushing with the camp. This forces a response from Big Impact. The reason Big Impact is the one who's responding is he's the only one who can. He's the only one who has the wave clear and an escape to deal with. This Rag is on the point. They need Rag on the point. But the other three heroes, are trying to deal with this nonsense in the other lanes. Falstad Knot's flying. B-Kid's rotating up here to try and deal with that. But B-Kid can't kill Falstad. Right? It just can't happen. Falstad can stay up here. He can poke B-Kid down. B-Kid's already used his gap closer. Has to leave. This is a pre-Warbringer nerf, so this still does have a stun, as you saw there. But it doesn't matter. Without wave clear, there's really nothing you can do, and this lead is going to continue to accelerate. They may well lose the objective here, but it doesn't matter. You can see the Khazar camp is continuing to push here. It's going to get the bottom tower. You can see the fight happening. And this is the interesting thing. Naventic wants to be fighting constantly. Hey, Lodavar. Thanks. I'll have to thank Kyle for all the people who have come by since I did that show for him, or with him. This is the thing. Thank you for the follow. This is the thing about Naventic's comp. They want to brawl. They want to be like, yeah, fight us on the shrine. And teammates like, well, you drafted to fight on the shrine. What if we just didn't do that? What if we just never fought you in a situation where you have an advantage because of your comp? What if we just constantly rotated on the map and had macro pressure and got buildings and killed you nowhere near where you wanted to fight? So you see Kerosene going down there. Little, like, EDC actually slid here to get the portal value, right? So the portal wouldn't end up being an escape either way. Small things. Those like tiny details that professionals play. But I think this idea of identifying the win condition of the comp, Naventic wants to fight on the point. They have the Greymane with the cocktail build. They have the Ragnaros with the self-sustain on his Q. He gets a lot of self-healing from hitting these minions over and over again. They want to fight here. And teammates like, what if we just didn't ever do that? What if we just never fought in a situation that's favorable for you? What if we only fought when it's favorable for us? And they have this pressure. The entire bottom wall is gone. For the record, in professional play, the first Punisher on Infernal Shrines will usually get you a wall. That's like the expected minimum value. If you execute it correctly and you keep the lane pushed, that's a wall. So if you already got what the Punisher would have given you by not doing the Punisher, are you behind in any way? That was definitely fun on Kyle's channel, seeing two of my favorite streamers together equals good times. I appreciate that. Drinking Ren, appreciate that a lot. And again, we're seeing Falstad. Falstad has a global. Falstad never left his lane. He could have. Anytime his team needed him, like if they actually needed him, he could have left the lane. But now we have 7, and this makes it even worse. Falstad now has Boomerang, and EDC now has Echo Pedal. So, and this is Malf with Moonburn. So now we have 5 heroes. 5 heroes, not even exaggerating. 5 heroes on Team 8 that all have really good wave clear. Versus still just 2 on Naventic. This is never going to change. They're only ever going to have these 2 wave clear heroes. You can see the Punisher jumps is correctly baited over the wall. They put the portal down as a threat, but no one goes through it. That's not threatening because Varian's not there. They really need the Varian to make something happen here. They get the pick onto Greymane. So that's a full level lead. They don't even get the wall. So to recap, wall alive, wall dead, wall half dead, wall alive. In every single way that actually matters in this game, Teammate is ahead, despite the fact that they didn't win the objective. Technically, Medivh can get wave clear to 20. This game doesn't actually get to 20, but at least not for Naventic side. And you can see Justing now doing the wave clear because his team's doing camps. Here's an interesting thing about tanking in general. You want to be hidden when your team could potentially be somewhere and follow up on your pick. If there's no possibility of the pick, you are giving some information away by clearing the wave. But on the other hand, the only other thing you could be doing is sitting in bush, and there's actually probably too far away from the range to get the soak anyway. So you can see Justing is doing the wave clear here for the moment, using that Echo Pedal as best he can. And now that his team has grabbed this, we're going to see him continue to push this in, but his team's going to go mid, and Yoda is going to start to rotate around, seeing if anyone's out of position. And you can see Justing mounts up and is out, right? As soon as his team is available and the wave is clear, he leaves. And they're going to do the camp invade here. As soon as here, he's aware of it. Falstad starts to move down. Falstad actually already started to move down because they knew they were going to do this invade, and there's a possibility. Varian is late. Varian will not be here in time, and so Teammate gets the camp. Falstad doesn't need to do anything, but if he needed to do something, he would have been there, and Varian would not have been. So that's just heads-up shot calling. This is the thing about... this is the primary thing that a shot caller does in professional play. And I think that's a little bit misunderstood. A lot of people think that shot callers, like, oh, focus this target or do this. And some of them do that. Some of them move and split the job up, though. They'll have, like, a tactical shot caller and a strategic shot caller. They'll have one person, being like, we're going to rotate here. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. And then in team fights, they'll have, like, maybe the tank being like, I'm going on this. We're going to focus this. The way shot calling works isn't you play everyone's hero for them. That's not how that works. The way shot calling works is you... it's block party and loudspeakers. So it's block party and then W range on EDCs 1 and 4, which is pretty standard in competitive. So the way shot calling works is you'll decide strategy as a team, and then the shot caller will make these calls. So they'll call when rotations happen. They'll call, do we do this or do we do this? If there's like multiple options. And it's really important to follow the call But it's also really important to look for opportunities and communicate. You need to feed information to your shot caller. One of the major things that teams don't do enough of, and I'm including some professional teams in this assessment because I've heard their comms, is they don't talk enough. They don't feed information to the shot caller. If an escape has been used, like if Murden jumps in, everyone should immediately like Murden jump, he doesn't have jump. Because if Murden jumps in, especially pre-13, he can be focused and killed if everyone targets him. If ETC slides in, and this actually annoys me personally in here, like I'll see ETCs slide directly into a team and then not die. If ETC slides directly into a team, he should be immediately focused and killed. Just kill him. He doesn't have an escape anymore. He has self-peel in the W, but it's usually not enough to save him from, dying if the entire team just blew all their cooldowns on him right away. I usually prog rock instead of block party. I would say prog rock is actually always better, 100% of the time in Hero League, except for maybe Battlefield of Eternity. The reason block party is prioritized fairly heavily in pro play over prog rock, not always, but most of the time, is because block party is a better anti-burst talent, and focus fire in professional play is so good that people just die. So the healing for prog rock is not as effective in a lot of cases. But that's because A, they're on comms, and B, they've practiced trying to hit all their damage in like a 1 to 2 second window, right? They're trying to kill someone literally in 1 to 2 seconds when they focus a target. There's a wonderful story that I always talk about where Mary Day was talking about playing against E-Star. Mary Day, of course, is the support, or was a support for MB Black. He's retired, unfortunately. Sad face. He was talking about playing against E-Star, and he said he had to guess who to Ancestral. He had to guess who to Ancestral when he was playing against E-Star because their focus fire was so good that if he Ancestraled them as they started getting focused, they would already be dead by the time Ancestral went off. Ancestral takes 1 second to go off. So at certain levels of play, anti-burst is better than any form of healing. Just straight up. That's one of the reasons Tassadar and Zarya are so contested in competitive play. Because shields are automatically anti-burst. And they kind of act as healing in a way. Because they save real health. I wouldn't say scrubs do prog rock. I would just say that ladder players do prog rock. Even tank mains will go prog. Like Alex the Progi will occasionally just go prog rock on ladder because he knows the focus fire is not going to be good. So the Maya's Malf good as a healer? It's only for the root? Yeah. Malf is a good healer because of the root. And because of Innervate. Those are like the two big things. Also, he doesn't give up anything to take cleanse. A lot of supports give up a significant talent to get at 7 to take cleanse. Malf's talents at 7 are all kind of shitty. So cleanse is just like, yes. He also has scouting drone. He can also talent into Moonburn if he wants to. And in a sustain meta, Malfurion's healing over time is really good. He can also pre-hot you. Right? He can, if you know a fight's going to happen in 3 seconds, you can hot someone before the fight happens, and then have your heal available right as the fight actually starts to heal a different target. So really, really intelligent Malf players will actually be healing up to 3 members of their team at a time, which is huge. And then he has Twilight Dream. So Twilight Dream gives him infinite mana sustain almost because of the increased mana regeneration, and Twilight Dream is one of the most powerful heroics in the entire game. So it's like, it's not any one thing about Malfurion, it's the fact that he has all of these tools. Like if you're at 90% in 10 categories and one support's at like 10% in 5 categories and 100% in 5 categories, the 90% in 10 categories guy is way better. And Malfurion is the only healer in some categories. He's the only healer with mana sustain. None of the others exist. No other ones exist. And he has all these other tools, right? Malfurion just has a lot of things that are pretty good, and 1 or 2 things that are amazing, and it's just, how do you deal with it? How do you deal with that? If he lost Ice Block, he would be in a very different spot, for instance. Especially in pro play. Without Ice Block, he would just be a lot more vulnerable. Because then he wouldn't have any self-burst mitigation, and he doesn't have a burst heal. A little bit different. So again, we're going to see... Bear in mind, Naventic wanted to get 10 first. Their comp, in their mind, spikes at 10. All Varian comps spike at 10, because you need Varian. Especially with this combination of Taunt into Smash, which is what they're going to try and go for. They really have the ability to secure picks consistently at 10. And it doesn't, you can see the bribe on the shaman there. It doesn't really matter what heroes you're talking about, as long as you understand when they spike, right? This could be this could be an Azebo comp and it spikes in 20. It's important to understand where your comp spikes and what its strengths are. Teammates' strength is early game. They have all the wave clear in the world, especially from 7 onwards. They have a lot of map pressure because they have pick potential. If you don't have pick potential, the enemy team doesn't have to be afraid of you and they can move on to your side of the map. Because they have a lot of pick potential, they can always push in. Naventic has no strengths at all until 10, so they've just been getting absolutely bullied the entire early game. Being forced to play safe. I mean, they won the objective, but they lost more than they gained from the objective as a result. Teammates about to win this shrine by default because they're going to have level 10. You can't contest when an enemy team has a significant talent tier advantage. The 3 most significant talent tiers are 10, 20, and 16. There's an argument for fighting down 13. Particularly if you're so far behind that the enemy team burned their heroics because they were fighting you 10 to 8, and then like they hit 13 and you just hit 10 and their heroics are still on cooldown. There's an argument for that because 13 is largely considered to be the weakest talent tier on average. It's not for every hero, but on average it is. But you never fight down 10 to 8 in particular. This is like 10 to anything that's not 10 or higher is something you never do. So they're going to win this by default, and look how fast they clear this. Right, they have the Moonburn on Malfurion, which does apply to monsters. They have the Echo Pedal on HGC. They're going to have Overkill, again, here in a second on Yoda. He already used it once. They're just trying to clear this as quickly as possible so that they can be pushing with the Punisher while they have 10. But notice, they're not missing Soak. They're not missing Soak to do it. This lane is already pushed in. Glaurung just got this wave and then rotated top. And we're going to see the pressure happen here. They're setting up for the next Punisher. Because the next Punisher, 50-50 chance it's going to be either top or mid. If they get the Fountain here, they're going to be in a position to always have an advantage on the all the Punishers that come up here for the most part. Glaurung, knowing that the building's being tanked, goes really deep, has an escape, but also he has Gust. Right? He's playing with his team here. Gust for the disengage. And that is going to be the Punisher picked up. And here's where we see the power of having this global. Falstad can continue to soak. He actually, because of his mount speed, rotates between waves faster. We can see Kenma going in on him, and that was just to negate his trait. I'm not sure why he used the second dash. Using one dash just to negate Falstad's trait is fine. The second one is weird. Because you're not going to secure the kill, and you don't know Zeratil's not there, right? So you just wasted your escape. The second dash was really, really weird. I think Kenma might have been a little upset at how the game was going because he wanted to. Because it's Naventic's dynamic is always that they really, really, really want to fight, and they're not being allowed to fight. That's how they like to play the game. Stun there. We're going to see Falstad. Now Falstad's coming down, but he wanted to make sure he got that middle wave soak. They've been prioritizing soak above almost everything else. And again, look at this situation. Zuna is soaking 10 for his team. He has to wait till the wave gets to the wall because his wave clear is so bad, and the waves are so pushed up. So they're losing ammo even when they're catching up at soak. This keep wall is pretty much guaranteed to go down. You can see they're not being greedy. If this Punisher had been higher health, they probably would have killed the sidewall and tried to actually force a fight here with the level advantage, because the levels give you a scaling advantage. But they're just going for the wall. They don't want to make any mistakes that would result in them losing their lead. They're playing as conservatively as possible because they know this advantage is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger over time because of the wave clear. Right? They have superior macro. There's no reason for them to fight when Naventic's only chance of ever catching up is fighting. And I know I'm hammering this point home. Like Zuna's trying to force a fight here. He just dies for it. But he knows his team is going to be here. If he'd hit that leyline seal, his team would have been there in time for the follow-up. They could have gotten a smash. They might have gotten a kill. Zuna's trying to force the fight because Naventic has no other way of winning the game. Whereas Teammate has multiple win conditions. They have a VP, they have VP into Twilight Dream. They have Sieging with Odin on the point. They have Mosh Pit to enable some sort of wombo combo. They have a lot of different ways to win, whether it's team fights or macro. Naventic only has one way to win, and Teammate's like, well, let's just never fight. And Naventic's like, It looked funny, though. It did look funny. It looked funny live. I remember Twitch chat when this happened live. Absolutely freaking out. And I want to point out that if Teammate didn't understand their comp and the enemy team's comp, this wouldn't be working. But Teammate actually plays Medivh Ragnaros on Infernal Shrines. It's one of their favorite things to run. They've played a lot of it. That's why they understand the weaknesses of the comp so well. But this is also just a drafting mistake. You should never draft for a single win condition in a comp. Because if the enemy team has tools that allow them to win in another way that you can't deal with, you're guaranteed to lose if they notice. Right? This game, when I saw this draft, I was like, this game's over. Like, literally in the draft, I was like, there's no possible way Naventic wins this if they play correctly. And you can see, they keep going for these comps. They finally get the pick with 7-sided strike. They're just looking for kill after kill after kill at this point. The only way they're going to come back in this game is with the kill experience. So Falstad has to play very, very carefully since he's the one who's going to be alone. You can see Glaurung, again, he was soaking this wave. He wasn't killing the wave, mind you. He was just pushing it up with his body. The only time you'll see Glaurung soak as Zeratul is if he's going to leave the lane and it doesn't matter if he's seen on the minimap. Otherwise, he soaks from stealth and doesn't actually clear the wave. And we're going to see a lot more of that in a little bit. We're going to actually it's going to be a huge focus of the latter half of this analysis. Nice VP for the peel and buds. Nice ice block, did a nice smash. Big Impact's just going all in, trying to secure this kill. And they're in a 5v4, right? Naventic has sacrificed soak in the other lanes, but this is happening. Both those camps have been taken. If T8 teammate doesn't die here, then all those cooldowns for Naventic are wasted because they prevent them from doing the thing they want to do, which is fight. Whereas teammate's still getting value. And we're going to see Falstad. He's alive and well. He's going to start to move back into the top lane. And look at the aggression here. Look at how aggressively they can set up. And this is one of the things that we haven't even mentioned yet, but if all your waves are pushed in, your vision's better, right? If we look, can we? So like, look at this. Top lane, you have vision of this wave. You only have vision out to here, and you have vision out to here. Right? You have a little bit of vision from your dude here. That's the air ally from Kerosene. But your vision is like very limited. Whereas if you look at this, look at how much vision teammate has. Right? They have vision from their minion wave here. They have vision all the way up to basically the same spot on the map. But then they have a lot of vision here, and until a little while ago, they had quite a bit of vision here. I really wish these walls were dead, by the way, just on a related note. When all of your lanes are pushed in, you have more vision on the map. And vision on the map gives you control that allows you to gank. One of the things that I'll see professional players get really upset about in Hero League is someone will have like 3/4 health and mana, and they'll back before an objective, and they're just like, no, if you just stay on the map, then we have vision control. But vision control only works when you're pushing on the map as a team. So having the vision control here allows them to set up here. I don't think anyone's going to make the mistake. Their hope was that someone would rotate safely through here to get this wave, but instead they go to the top camp. This is not a bad call, though. Right? They're getting the soak top. They're not really missing any soak mid. And as soon as it's obvious no one's going to rotate through there, they immediately leave. Cav hates walls, guys. Cav... I actually kind of wish that walls auto died when the tower died. Kind of do. Although then we can get really cool strategies, like the first time MB Black played Kerrigan on Shrines. But that's, I encourage you guys to go watch the VOD of this and take a note of it. The first time that MB Black played Kerrigan on Shrines last year, they would kill one wall in each intersection. So like the top wall would be dead. Actually, that's a bad example. Like here, they killed the bottom wall. They left this wall at exactly one hit. There were multiple times that game where Rich on Kerrigan double jumped using the nearly dead wall. Like they would kill this wall, and they would leave this wall at exactly one hit. And Rich, like over and over and over that game, actually used the walls minutes later that they had set up to double jump and secure kills. In one case, he actually triple jumped. He went minion wave to wall to enemy hero. And it's because the wall had been set up with just the one hit remaining. So there are situations where you can actually like plan to use walls, but for the most part, they just provide vision and you should kill them. And we can see Naventic. Naventic did a 5-man push here, trying to get the wall just to catch up. They're not going to catch up in experience doing this, but they could get to 13. Right? They really just want to don't fight. They don't want to fight down a talent here. So you can see they're trying to soak mid. They will have 13 here, but there's a camp pushing bottom, and look what Glowering's doing. Like until now, he pushed this wave all the way from like mid to here without actually clearing the wave. And now he's going to clear the wave, and he's going to mount up. He's going to re-stealth. He's going to continue to push in with the wave, but the team doesn't know that. They don't necessarily know that he's here. Now that they've committed to the shrine, they can see all of them are here. They can see, they see Big Kid because of the minion wave. They just saw him walking to the bush. They know Kenma's here. They know Tomster's here. The only person who's missing is Big Impact, and Greymane can't keep up with the Zeratul. Zeratul can get away from just Greymane. So he's going to get some free damage here, and they're going to maintain this 2-level lead, despite the fact that Noventic has been, trying to pressure and trying to clear and trying to catch up experience. And as soon as he's here, well, I'm just like, okay, I'm leaving. And look what he does. He as he's visible, he rides towards the objective, and then as soon as he's not visible anymore, he rides to his wave. He's like, I'm actually not going there. He just loops around. He's checking the middle wave. He's going to look for the back flank. Maybe he can get a VP. But, I mean, the assumption is he's going there. But he might not have. He could have decided to just, like, loop back around and stay here. He absolutely could have done that, and Big Impact would have had no way of knowing that he did that. So he does the most threatening thing, and again, he's stopping to clear the mid wave. Top is being pushed in by the Bruiser camp that was picked up easily by Falstad because of Bribe. And you can see the delay is happening. We're seeing the poke. Justing is really, really deep with Echo Pedal, but he has Slide. He can always get out if he wants to. They're not engaging. They're giving up the objective for free, again, but they got the tower, a keep tower for it, which is worth 650 experience, I believe. They got, pressure top for it. They got mid soak for it. They have... This is actually a really important point. The mid wave being pushed this far in means that this Punisher's value is going to be very minimal. Ideally, when you have a Punisher, you want to grab the wave underneath the wave as well and push the wave up, like right before you get the Punisher, so you have a wave and a Punisher pushing. Can't do that. The focus is here. This was silly. Like, B-Kid was there with the follow-up, but Ragnaros was not in range for Smash, and now Warbringer's on cooldown for, 6 seconds. It's not that big a deal. But using cooldowns when they're actually going to matter is really, really important. And again, the reason this happened is because this wave was so far pushed back that Naventic felt obligated to clear it and then come. If they just come, maybe they could have secured that kill into Justine, but this wave would have never arrived. So it would have been just the Punisher and them versus, they didn't want to do that. So Team 8 putting them in this impossible macro position has forced Naventic to constantly struggle because they lack wave clear. Even in the middle of team fights. This is literally the middle of a team fight with a Punisher push. They're still struggling with the fact that they don't have wave clear and their waves aren't pushed up. This is how important wave clear is. And again, we see the Leyline Seal trying to force the fight. Justine's not in it, though, so he'll be able to heal everyone off. Does get taunted. That's a lot of stuff going down on him. But the cleanse comes down. Tomster should have committed to that smash way earlier. He should have committed... ideally, they commit to a smash out of the Leyline Seal and hit one of the fragile targets. But they go on the DC instead, which is fine. I don't understand why the cleanse... Why the smash was so late when he was stunned and then taunted. And stun, taunt. Smash came out... 1.5 to 2 seconds too late. It's a little bit odd. Meanwhile, Glowering's been body soaking bottom. Big Impact's trying to push this lane out, and Glowering's just casually hanging out here. He sees Big Impact, so he's going to march his way up to the wall, or up to the wave, so he's going to maintain the distance. he's baiting the team bottom because he wants Falstad to be able to stay just like top. Right? So normally he's been spending a lot of time not clearing the wave and just body soaking. But now he's going to clear the wave, push in. This forces them to rotate down because they don't want to lose the keep. They need to keep pressure off the keep. Falstad's top, and everyone else, you see the bush check with the Moonburn there, everyone else just sort of rotating around. They're trying to keep control of these camps, and this has been the theme, right? This has been the theme all game long. Have you seen a red camp, except for this one? I haven't. They've been just consistently doing these camps over and over and over again. One thing I don't like is they haven't been hitting the well. For those of you who don't know, if you give vision to the Merc camp as you cap it over the wall, it will attack the fountain directly. This fountain would be dead if Malf had been like moon burning it or moon firing it every time they cap a camp, or if Yoda had been throwing a grenade, something like that. So that's one like small criticism of the macro play that we've seen. This is something Koreans will do like 100% of the time. They'll always throw a ranged ability to start damaging the fountain directly. And in some ways, and I remember Twitch chat, reading Twitch chat while this game was going on, a lot of people thought this match wasn't very exciting. Even Dread commented that he thought a lot of people watching might be like, well, people aren't going to be very excited. Notice that Team 8 has map pressure with the Merc camp. I think Falstad actually has, of course we can't check it. I think Falstad actually does have fly available though. So he can fly top and make sure that soak does not get missed. I'm pretty sure he walked his way down or flapped his way down here the old-fashioned way. By pressuring this keep, they're keeping, and they have the 16-15 advantage. They're only pressing him when they have the advantage, but they have the advantage in other lanes as well because they have the global. This forces a response from the entire team, and that's one core, and they just back off. There's a nice bump by Justine preventing the taunt fault and stun. Now they're out of Molten Core's range. Look at that. As soon as they're out of Molten Core's range, they turn around and start fighting. Naventic should have backed up here. As soon as the stun, actually, on Warbringer didn't pan out, I think they should have turned around. The correct call was turn around right there. Now they've traded Leyline Seal for Gust, which is not a favorable trade cooldowns. And they are going to get caught here with the VP, the slide. That is going to do a lot. The cleanse into the Mosh. That's going to be 2 kills for free because of the Wombo combo. And notice, Team 8, that's the second real fight they've taken. It was up a talent tier. They have not taken a fight where they're not up a talent tier because they don't have to. They have wave clear that's good enough to constantly just be ahead. And now they're going to get a keep off the back of it. The siege potential of Odin. Tychus was run occasionally on Infernal Shrines, even pre-rework, because of how good Odin is at sieging. So if you win the objective, you can win it harder. You can use Odin to win the objective really hard as well. And now we're going to see the rotation mid. They're just trying to keep ahead. We can see Falstad. He doesn't have to use every single stack of Wingman or have as much stacks, but just having that one stack makes him able to do this camp much faster. And this does 2 things. It gives them more experience, and since they're trying to just be ahead all game, that's really important. But it also gives them pressure in their catapult lane, and it denies one of the ways that teams deal with catapult pressure. One of the ways that teams will deal with catapult pressure in a lane is they'll get the camps. All camps basically lose to catapults eventually, but it slows down the pressure on your core. By denying this camp in particular, they now have a huge advantage. It's even bigger than they had before. And again, 17-16. They can start this and be in the lead, but Team 8 honestly doesn't care if they win this Punisher. They really don't. They would like to. If Naventic doesn't contest, they'd be okay with it. They don't have Mosh, they don't have VP, they don't have Twilight Dream. They will back up here if this is a full 5v5 engagement. And you can see it is. This is 3 people on the shrine. They get vision, they realize it's happening. And Glaurung, meanwhile, Falstad, meanwhile, pushing in all the way. One of the reasons they can do this, by the way, is because their early game was managed so well and their early game was so much better. All their forts are alive, right? If this was a dead fort, then this Punisher would be threatening keep instead, especially if this wall was gone. But because their forts are alive, they can make this decision to be like, we can trade. There's nothing that really stops what she's creating. Glowering again with the soak in the bottom, keeping that pushed in. Again, this is the Causer camp is not like super strong, but it's going to be on core. That's now going to be a catapult going pretty much directly to core. You can see Glowering. He starts to back up, but then he sees everyone commit to the lane, and again, minions see them. So this is he's playing safe. He's backing up until he knows for a fact people are, and now he's just being like, I'm on core now. He takes some damage, but Mending Strikes takes care of like pretty much all of it. And he has the wave clear. He can get out of here anytime he really wants to. And I don't know why Zuna's the one in the back here. Like, again, this needs to be cleared. The catapults in the camp need to be cleared because they're out of range of the core. The core's never going to clear them. Even if you could, like, sending someone back who could kill Zeratul would be okay. I really don't think Medivh wins that 1v1. Like, I don't think Medivh can actually just kill Zeratul. But Medivh certainly can't clear this. So this is, again, a weird decision. And I feel like they kind of have to make it. Just because... what else are they going to do, right? Epic 1v1 here. And Glowering is not trying to kill Zuna. If he could kill Medivh, whatever, that's fine. But he's not trying to do that. He's just trying to delay him from dealing with this because there's another catapult coming. He already cleared the next waves, right? So this is now on the point. Glows again, just clearing the wave. The catapult will be on core momentarily. Doesn't blink the doesn't juke the thing then. Nice shield there. This is tries to outplay in VP so he can re-stealth and get out of here guaranteed. But instead he just mounts. That does create space either way, because now he can't go through the portal to catch up. Needs to juke the Q here. Does. And if they'd sent back a hero that had a wave clear, their core would be at 100% right now. Maybe it'd be like 98 or maybe 90%. But instead they sent back a hero that doesn't have wave clear. They have two heroes that have wave clear. They should have sent back one of them, but they didn't feel like they could do that because they felt like they needed that on the Punisher. They do lose the Punisher as a result, but this Punisher is guaranteed to get this 4. Really. Not even necessarily guaranteed. They do bait it past. This is a 4v3, so the Punisher is not going to be that... What is that noise? If you pause during certain sound effects, they continue to loop. I believe that one was... Would anyone else be afraid of glowering them? I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, the point... This is what I'm talking about, Naventic's mindset. Naventic's mindset is we want to kill someone. Right? So Naventic's mindset is we'll send back Zuna to kill Zeratul. It should have been, we'll send back a wave clear hero to deal with the fact that there's a wave on our core and is killing it. Right? The objective should not be kill Zeratul. The objective should be push the wave out. And yeah, Greymane would have been okay at pushing the wave out. He would have lived. Like, you can live through Zeratul being on top of you as a Greymane. You have enough health. Rag has self-sustain, so he could have lived. But instead they sent the guy who has no wave clear. And it has to do with the mindset of certain players, particularly people who came from other games. I've noticed this less with people whose first MOBA is Heroes of the Storm. And I've noticed it a lot more with people who came from other games. They don't understand why wave clear is so important. They just don't. In other games, your buildings protect you. In Heroes of the Storm, your job is to protect your buildings. It's the other way around. Your buildings do very little to actually save you if the enemy team is pushing in with a minion wave. Your job is to protect your buildings. And that's in addition to everything else that wave clear does in terms of granting vision and just everything else. And I want to talk about the idea. This was such a simple concept, right? Teammate noticed, oh, we have more wave clear. What if we just never fought unless we had an advantage and then pressured in on every single lane all the time? Everything I'm talking about is the way they did that. But that basic strategy is so simple. And that's I'm gonna have a bigger lecture about that at the end of this game. But look at this fight. They know for a fact that Big Impact and Zuna are not there because Glaurung just saw them here, and this is like a 15-second rotation, like 15 to 20-second rotation, right? They know for a fact they're not here. So even though there's a Punisher here, teammates just like, well, what if we just fought the 4v3 after we baited the Punisher over the wall so we know the stun's not available, right? Because the Punisher's not actually threatening if the stun's already been used. So let's just mosh. They get a free kill on the Varian as a result of it, and they can continue to chase here, especially because, you know, I think Prismaticism still has Gust here if they wanted, so he could fly past and Gust if he wanted to be like super, super risky. Kenma looks like he will get out of here, but Ragnaros is going to go down. And you know what Glaurung turned around. He's like, that fight's good. Guys, that fight's over. Let me go core. Right? And he's just maintaining the pressure here. I'd like to point out that he missed one combo slash proc there, but it doesn't even matter. As soon as Cleave's back up, he's going to back up and clear the wave. Gus, he's not even going to do it. They're just like, whatever, let's just go for it. EDC's 13 talent was, I believe, we can actually back it up so you can see. I believe it was Encore. It was actually Mic Check. Honestly, all of ETC's 13s are pretty interesting. They're all pretty good. They're all pretty, like, odd, too. So that's Mic Check. The problem with Mic Check, like the main problem with Mic Check, is that you will run out of mana if you're really abusing it. Which is funny because EDC normally doesn't have any mana issues whatsoever. So the reason, you can see the teammate won the game. The reason I like this replay in particular is because it highlights how important macro is. A lot of people underestimate exactly how important macro is, and they don't understand how to macro in Heroes of the Storm. Macro involves keeping all of your waves pushed all the time. Out macroing someone means clearing the wave and then usually rotating to another lane. Wave clear enables rotations. Rotations enable picks and better macro. Right, because it gives you a numbers advantage in a lane. If you're in a situation where the enemy team has to leave someone mid, for instance, to clear the wave, and you clear the wave instantly, and then you go bottom, and then your team's in like a 4v3 scenario for 20 seconds, you can use that 4v3 to get a wall. If they hide behind the wall, then you get the wall for free. If they don't hide behind the wall and they force a fight, they're in a 4v3 fight, you're in an advantage, you should be able to get a pick. Wave clear and macro are really, 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 really important. But identifying your win condition is also absolutely critical, and having a draft that has a variety of win conditions is pretty important, or at least you have a win condition that's guaranteed to work if you can get to it is something that's really important. There's one game I wanted to go over, but I unfortunately can't load the replay because of the way Blizzard did the thing. It was Fnatic versus Misfits, right? Fnatic versus Misfits, where they did an Azebo Zul Ragnaros comp, and it was on Dragonshire, and basically their win condition was getting Azebo to 20. That was their win condition. And I think it was Fnatic versus Misfits. Pretty sure. I have the replay, but I can't watch it. But it didn't... They tried really, really hard to bully the Zul the entire early game, because the Zul is what was going to get them to 20 even because of that wave clear, because of that pressure, right, from all the lanes. So teammates' win condition was we have better wave clear, so we can out-macro them. We have a really good wombo combo, so we can have a wombo combo. We have a really good pick potential, so anytime we catch someone alone, we can get a kill, and because we have better wave clear, every time we get a kill, we'll be able to turn a kill into buildings, which I think is something a lot of people miss. If you don't have good wave clear, it doesn't matter how good your pick potential is, because you can't follow up and actually kill buildings. A single kill is not worth very much. A single kill is worth less than a full wave of experience for most of the game. So if you just kill someone, but you miss a wave, you're actually behind. If you kill someone and force them to miss a wave, then you're pretty far ahead. If you kill someone, force them to miss a wave, and get a building, then you're in good shape. This is one of the reasons that Sylvanas and Hammer are such snowball heroes. It's not that they help you get picks necessarily. It's that if you get a pick, you suddenly have a free building, because you can always push in with a Hammer or a Zarya or a Sylvanas because of the disable effect. You can do something similar with Chen and drinking at least one of the tower shots, but then Chen's not doing damage to the tower, so it's not as good. which describes Chen in a lot of ways, actually. Chen is good at certain things, but he's just not as good as some other heroes. So by identifying their win condition correctly, and Naventic having such a one-dimensional win condition that they couldn't achieve unless teammate cooperated, like, you can't force a team to fight. You just can't do it. Right? Naventic's win condition was win fights. Does Hammer ever show up in competitive? Hammer is a staple pick in the Korean metagame. So, yes, Hammer shows up in competitive quite a bit.